in the year of darkness, 2029. Shit, I didn't realize it was around the corner. The rulers of this planet devise the ultimate plan. They will reshape the future by changing the past. The plan. Are you guys going to do this for all 6 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No pain, no fear. They create the Terminator. A brilliant flash of light and an ear-splitting explosion mark the arrival of the Terminator. A cyborg, part man, part machine. There's some.
No, it's just machine.
No, we'll talk about that in a second.
The outside parts?
Sent to the present day Earth
only way they can
from
time
the
travel.
future on a deadly mission. His task to kill a young woman whose life will have great significance in the decades to come. The mechanical monster from the future leaves behind him an unspeakable path of destruction. Nothing can stop the horrific Terminator.
TM.
Yes. This movie is great. I mean, James Cameron, it all came from his mind. I don't know why they acknowledge another sci-fi writer in the credits, but it all came from James Cameron's mind.
Has nothing to do with that short story that was written by that guy that nobody remembers the name of.
What was the name? Robert Heinlein? Or is that someone else?
I actually didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And then one day...
Did you know about this? The first Terminator, it literally ends. The guy died a few years back. Yeah. It literally ends like, we would like to acknowledge the works of this person, because he like saw the movie and was like, wait a minute, this uses a lot of my shit.
Somebody read my story and made a new one.
Yeah.
Using the same idea.
There definitely was some legal stuff that happened. And I think that's what they settled on. They're like, all right, here's some hush money. We'll give you a shout out. But no, this is the one I watched the most.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like this one's streaming the most out of all of them. I know right now a lot of them are streaming, but I feel like Terminator 1 is like always on Amazon Prime or Tubi.
I guess.
Yeah. No, I love it because I was, like I said, I was a big horror guy and a big sci-fi guy, and this is a nice marriage of the two.
Big time.
The effects are amazing. We talked about the
Stan Winston stuff.
So when the Terminator gets his eye injured and he's like cutting out the eye, it's a great practical effect head. I should have used quicker cuts of it because at one point it like lingers a little too long when it puts the glasses on. It's like,
It's 1984. I mean, we definitely just saw The Thing.
Yes.
Right? But
I'm just saying,
is impressive.
It's impressive, but quicker edits would have hit that a little bit more.
I agree. Especially when you're watching it in HD.
Yes.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, this is the case of like the more HD it gets, the more you start to pick apart some stuff. You're like, oh, there's a string carrying that miniature of a truck.
Yeah, well, also you got to consider that they film these things not knowing, like thinking, oh, well, they won't see that because the film that we're shooting on, like they'll never see that because that's the best it's going to get.
Home video was not, like it was a thing, but it wasn't as big as it was. This is still in that era where like tapes are expensive.
Nobody's going to see that man in Donatello's mouth. Don't worry about it.
Not once.
But yeah, no, to your point, yeah.
Yes, yes. But no, I love the story that someone came up with. I like the character of Sarah. Is really good in this.
She's great, man.
Yeah, the characters are just very likable. I really like Reese. I love they knew they couldn't do like this whole future thing. So they give you little glimpses of it, and all the little glimpses are awesome.
Like, but it works like so well.
Dude, that scene of like the rubber Terminators coming in and their eyes glowing is so fucking cool.
It was easy to spot those ones.
Yeah, very easy to
spot. The miniatures and the stop motion stuff in the first one.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about
the endoskeleton at the end is a little dodgy, but but the miniatures are good.
It's gorgeous, in my opinion. I love it. Big Harryhausen fan, but we talked about it on the Alien episode about how Aliens has that kind of gritty air about it.
This definitely has a gritty look to it.
It's the same feel. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
It's like kind of it's Cameron, but like you know what I mean.
There are little camera tricks like the chase scene. You tell they just like shot it at a lower frame rate, so it's a little faster.
Yeah, no, sure.
The stop motion is really good. I just think it's the rear projection that they're filming it on. It doesn't blend well at all. Actually, someone like digitally, they made it look exactly the same, but they put a digital model over it and color corrected to make it like blend a little bit better. I'm like, that's actually pretty cool.
It was a low budget flick.
Yeah.
Somebody took a chance on this movie.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, James Cameron, let's see what you got.
Yes. And what do you think of Arnold? Are you guys Arnold fans?
Yeah.
You guys really like Arnold?
Yeah.
He's fine.
Okay, so you guys like the Republican that hosted The Apprentice. Anyway, so what did you think about him in this movie? Would you have cast A robot that needs to blend. I get everyone.
You
with
were
that.
fucking baiting me.
I
Is
get
what it was.
everyone with
That's
that
why I was
one.
like, yeah.
So no one ever sees it coming. They should really know by now.
I didn't.
I'm just saying. Is he not? Yeah, it's so funny that like I think someone might have called James Cameron out on it because didn't Cameron not want Arnold? There was like something there
That I don't know.
because originally it was going to be Lance Henriksen.
Oh, that would have been bad.
Lance Henriksen is in the movie.
That would have been
Well,
bad.
no, the idea is like the Terminator's an infiltration thing.
Unassuming, yeah.
He should blend in, but I kind of like the idea of that. Like the robots are dumb, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have to make man. Let's make him the most perfect physical specimen ever in this universe where everyone's starving and they're super thin. He'll blend in right away."
But it kind of makes sense because that's how they would calculate it, right?
And it's funny.
Well,
when
this
it
is a
leads to the
perfect
second one, which
exactly.
we'll talk about. But
Yeah,
I like how they're like, yes, we need to send the robot back in time. Make sure it's a big guy. Hey, they're in Los Angeles. What kind of accent should he have? Like, oh, Austrian for sure.
Nice night for a walk.
I'm sure there were Austrians who lived in LA. It's like, yeah, well, so we want to give him like more of like an American accent now? Austrian. There you go. There you go.
I'm surprised they didn't dub him over.
I mean, I feel like they just couldn't afford Lou Ferrigno at that point. I mean,
Well, they're already.
really.
Yeah.
Well, Arnold's
He had
already
a career at that point.
Arnold's
Well,
already kind of a name at this point because he had already done Conan the Barbarian,
Okay.
Pump and Iron, which is a really
Pump
great
and Iron.
documentary. And he's already like a millionaire at this point.
Hercules in New York.
Hercules in New York, where some versions he is dumb.
Yeah, that's what I'm
some
saying.
versions of that movie he's dumb.
Are we talking about good Arnold movies? Are we talking about twins now?
Sorry.
We're gonna talk about twins?
Terminator.
We got to do True Lies.
It is funny.
We're getting.
So of course this is the origin of like several big catchphrases, and of course one of them is "Come with me if you want to live," which they do in all of them almost.
No, they actually do it in 3.
And of course the famous "I'll be back," which Arnold couldn't pronounce. He didn't want to do that line. He's like, "Hey, I'm really having trouble with this."
I'll be back.
So he wanted to say "I will be back" because he had trouble saying "I'll." Because he's like, "Hey, James, if I say this, it's going to sound weird and people might make fun of me for 40 years." And apparently James Cameron said, "You're going to do it the way I said you're going to do it." So that's where you get the famous "I'll be back." Which everyone always remembers the quote, but like that scene, like the setup for that scene is so great.
It's awesome.
There's really only like one complaint on mine, and that's just a continuity error.
What's the continuity here?
So if you pay attention, when the car, so when you see the reverse shot of the cop sitting there at the desk,
Yeah.
when you see the headlights of the car coming through, you know it's about to come through, and
Yeah.
then when the car comes through, there's no headlights on.
Maybe he shut him off like right before he came in.
So like the clue of the car's coming, these are the headlights coming. You can see it on the headlights are off.
Maybe they busted
Maybe
when he drove.
I didn't think about that.
the front of the precinct.
But this is where I'm ending the episode.
Worst Terminator movie ever.
Worst Terminator. Can you imagine a Terminator movie with continuity?
Are you kidding
As long
me?
as there's no like time travel continuity, we'll
Yeah.
be fine.
No.
Maybe for a minute, like the timeline skipped and he did.
Maybe
Anyway.
that's what it was.
So did someone go back?
Yeah.
You know,
But
Hold on. You know what? We'll patch that up because
right.
you know what? I'm sure it exists in Genesis.
Yeah.
Why those headlights are off?
you're right.
So I like I said, I really love the idea of the Terminator in this, and I love how like they technically like if they got like the army or something, they could figure out a way to kill this thing.
Sure.
But they don't have access to it because it's just a crazy guy from the future and a waitress who's like, I don't know what's going on.
That's the best part.
And he's
Nobody's
just
going
on-
to believe him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
on
and the
PCP.
cops-
Like
Yeah.
everyone just thinks he's a guy running around on PCP
He's,
the whole time.
he's dressed like a bum. He's got a sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, if I were them, I'd be like, what's the nearest military base? We're going to lure him there. Because he even says, like, can we kill him? And he's like, with these weapons? Probably not. Like, he can be killed, but it's like,
I mean,
it's going to take a lot to kill this dude.
I think Kyle also knew that, like, if they took him to a military base, that's end game for Skynet anyway. Because oh, here you go.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
They were like, oh,
I mean,
well,
they do it anyway at the
yeah.
end, but
But yeah, it's again, the plot is pretty simple. Girl's gonna get wiped out. Good guy goes back in time to save her. Bad guy goes back in time to kill her. Get used to that. They kind of do it, and the music's cool. The
Music's
synth,
great.
like,
Music's great.
Yeah.
I love the music.
So yeah, Terminator. This one's good. We're gonna say this one's good. Not the worst.
It's not the worst.
it's not the worst.
Okay, just making sure it's not the worst. Okay,
It's
okay.
good, suspenseful action. It brought me in. I stayed. You know.
You're Terminator, fucker. I love that line. That one doesn't get quoted as much, but I really like that one. But yeah, you got likable characters, you got an interesting premise, you get a little bit of wiggle room for a sequel. There's all good stuff
if you need it.
If you need it. I usually just watch this one. I really, really like this movie. It's my favorite one.
We'll get to it.
But now we'll talk about everyone else's favorite one.